Hello and welcome to another video where I take a look at new Crown Tundra Pokemon, look at their calculations and with interaction with Series 5 Pokemon, Series 7 Pokemon, that means new Crown Tundra Pokemon as well. I'm going to look at their new movesets, and then I'm going to probably recommend you the optimal EV spread and justify probably how it works and why it works so well. Without any further ado, let's look at the new moves we can get. So hopefully it looks okay. Yeah, good. The screen looks okay. Perfect. Phenomenal. Alright, so Suicune. But one note I want to point out is that all the legendary beasts, or legendary cats, or legendary dogs, get Weather Ball. If I recall correctly, Weather Ball was a move that Raikou got in the, what was it, 13 movie event? Back in like 2012 or 2011, there was a movie, Pokemon movie with Zoroark, where multiple of these legendary beasts appeared in their shiny form, and as a promotion at multiple video game stores, I think, they promoted these shiny legendary beasts with unique moves. As you're gonna see, a lot of these moves are gonna be brought back to these legendary beasts in Sword and Shield. So, good example would be Weather Ball on Raikou, but this time Game Freak decided that all of these legendary beasts should have a Weather Ball. It kinda makes sense though, since Raikou is was one of the least expected Pokemon to get Weather Ball. Like, you get Suicune with Rain, Entei with Sun, and Raikou with Thunderstorm, whatever. It gets Air Slash. Suicune gets Air Slash now, so finally it got Flying move it thrived so long for. I'm pretty sure it was one of the moves that it got in the movie event only as well, along with Sheer Cold and Extreme Speed, I think. Other moves it got is a bunch of physical moves. Iron Head, Liquidation, but I don't think we really care about those. We care about Air Slash and a possible snowball it could bring to the Suicune, so good buff I think for the Suicune. Now let's look at Entei. Again, Weather Ball was put back into the Entei's movesets. Then we got Stomach Tantrum, we got that before, but again, look at this. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna bring it back, but as of right now, Sacred Fire, a signature move of Ho and Entei, was scrubbed out of Sword and Shield, so it doesn't exist. The move just fails when used. But seeing that both Ho-Oh and Entei is gonna come back, Sacred Fire should be added back into the game, so do not fear about that. But if it doesn't go that well, Entei got Flare Blitz back as a more damaging move. Again, it was a unique move Entei got in a Generation 4-5 event with the Legendary Beasts of the movie. Flare Blitz was not on Entei's moveset since then, so it's kind of funny and nice to see Flare Blitz being back in the Entei's moveset. However, Sacred Fire is just such a much better move, unfortunately, that it's probably gonna overshadow it, unfortunately. But Raikou, oh boy Raikou, that thing is the most interesting out of all the legendary beasts. Did I show Flare Blitz? I'm just gonna show it to you, just to make sure. Here's the Flare Blitz. The camera I'm recording here is a bit smaller than the wall screen I'm recording, so I'm just fearing sometimes that you didn't see the confirmation from me, but let's get over to Raikou. So again, Weather Ball, again, as it was from Generation 4 and 5 event. Then we get Eerie Impulse, and Snarl, and Bulldoze. So these are, but there's a bunch of useful moves on Raikou right now, honestly. I'm not sure if it wants to use Helping Hand or got Helping Hand before, but now it gets Helping Hand and a bunch of other good support moves. So if you want to run to support Raikou, this is probably the best year to use it. But look at these movesets. Look at the new moves it got, actually. It got Aura Sphere, which was again one of the unique moves it got from Generation 4 event. And then, out of all things it got Scald. It got Scald, and I think that's really good for Raikou. I mean, if you're electric type and you get a water type move, you probably are very happy, and I'm pretty sure Raikou will make great use of that move. But when I was thinking of this video, I was thinking like, come on, how they can get Scald? It has to be one of these errors from Pokemon Home. And true to be said, there are some errors in the Pokemon Home data mine. A good example would be Ally Switch Politoed, which was supposed to be legal, but when the Isle of Armor came out and Politoed was brought back, it could not learn Ally Switch, and I have very similar feeling about Scald Raikou. Nevertheless, I calculated Raikou and I included it in the calculations. Also, it got throat chop. Not sure why. It's cat that does throat chop. That doesn't make much sense, but oh well. If you want to use physical Raikou, I mean, it got 85 attack. Feel free to do that, but I don't think it's gonna be all the way useful. So definitely, I would probably stick to Scald and maybe the support Raikou set, since it gets so many useful moves right now. As of right now, let's switch to the EV spreads I made, and actually, I'm already on that overlay, so we're fine. So let me pull up the calculations, and we should. Our music is going perfect. So, Entei, why do we have this exact spread right now? So, I calculated that I definitely want to take Max Quake from Metagross. Metagross is Max Quake from... Alright, so in last video, I explained why Metagross, actually I had to add it up while editing the video. So basically, Metagross gets quite a good benchmark at one point. Alright, let me explain it really quickly before I go over the stuff. So basically, I think this is going to be the premier Metagross set. As you can see, it outspeeds it gets max HP, it outspeeds Raikou by 1 point, and it gets the breakpoint in the attack stat. So as you can see, it gets 2 more extra points. Alright, you see that? Now, coincidentally, accidentally maybe, I'm gonna just 1 second, just please 1 second, alright? It has the same attack stat if it goes max speed jolly, so sometimes in the calculations I made, I was a bit too lazy and I just literally said, nah, no one will care about the fact that if it's jolly and it doesn't have boosting nature, it gets the same attack stat as probably the most optimal spread will get. So in the calculation I'm about to show you, it actually uses the jolly or whatever nature, not the boosting nature on the adamant nature. So, with that being said, Entei takes the max quake from that Metagross 93% of the time, so I think that's good enough. Another thing Entei gets, actually it takes it without Dynamax, which is pretty cool actually. Now, another calculation I want to point out is Territoric's max Rockfall doesn't do all that much damage to Entei, but unfortunately Entei won't be able to do much in the back. If you're one of these risky players and just want to go for Sacred Fire, you can go for Sacred Fire, burn the Tyranitar 50% of the time, and the max Rockfall is going to do as much as it would do to the Dynamax Entei. Also, one last note, you might not want to run Snarl, you can also run Iron Head, which boosts its defense stat, so that could be useful, but I would probably myself stick to Snarl and its utility it brings to the team. Already it burns and now minus special attack as well. That's pretty cool, I think. Anyways, Landorus's Max Quake against Dynamax Entei does not one-shot it. After all, Entei got pretty good, very high HP actually, and pretty good defenses. Tapu Fini's Max Case here, from Max Special Attack, doesn't do its KO Entei, but with Rains, its setups, it actually KOs Entei on a spot, so watch out for that, even if it's a Assault Vest boost. Nihiligo Max Rockfall against Assault Vest Entei. It twit KOs, but because you got Stomping Tantrum and Max Quake, you're gonna most likely one-shot back. Or if it gets Focus Sash, you can actually increase the special defense and then take the next Max Rockfall for Nihiligo. I actually forgot to point that out. Until we get the offensive calculation, I think it's a good point. A good point to point out that Inner Focus makes you immune to Intimidate in Generations 8. That's a huge buff for the Entei. Now it cannot get not only faking out, but also it cannot get intimidated. That's very huge for Entei. By the way, it's probably you will have to use the hidden ability capsule or whatever to switch from pressure to inner focus, but the payoff is humongous. It really is just so useful. Immunity to intimidate on physical Pokemon is just huge. Well, we get to that. Entei's Max Flare one-shots Venusaur in Sun Boost. I mean, makes sense. It cares in Sun, but without Sun it actually doesn't one-shot Venusaur, so watch out for that. Max Rockfall does one-shot Thunderous without Dynamax. Max Flare one-shot Celesteela, 252 HP on the spot, but not Dynamaxed. Max Quake from Entei actually one-shots Tapu Koko very cleanly. Stack Attacker does not get one-shotted by the Max Quake, and very probably can Dynamax and one-shot you back, so watch out for Stack Attacker. It might not be as a good matchup as you would expect on a first glance. Entei's Max Quake or Max Steel Spike, it doesn't really matter, it does the same damage. Does not one-shot Tyranitar without Dynamax. And Nihiligo Max Quake down against Dynamax Nihiligo. Easily one-shot, no problem whatsoever. After all, Nihiligo got very high speed, special defense, special attack, and HP, but catastrophically low defense. That is Nihiligo's weak point, and Entei can just go ahead and do that pretty nicely. Also, if you do not want to go for Jolly, or that you want to go Adamant, Adamant Max Flare from Entei, Max Attack, actually one-shots Tapu Lele on the spot. So I think that was pretty useful calculation. But I really would probably stick to this EV spread just because it takes the Max Quake from Metagross. If it gets +2 the Metagross, you will be able to respond with Dynamax and survive the attack anyway. So I think that's pretty useful for Entei to survive these attacks. Unfortunately, I would probably myself would not recommend Entei too much, since it appears to not have as much power like the other Pokemon. Like, I mean, a lot of Pokemon I calculated had Life Orb boost, but at least they got like very high special attack or modest, very high attack stat or with Adamant, but this one with Jolly Nature is not all that powerful, so I would not recommend Dynamaxing it, but I think it's still gonna be quite good utility Pokemon on many teams. I mean, even 10 Heatran is gonna be more useful, but we'll get the Heatran at one point as well. Now Raikou, even though you saw a lot of this, like you see this coverage, you're like, oh good, so good, but reality is often disappointing. I'm definitely recommending Inner Focus again, since you might not want to Dynamax it every time, and still immunity to being flinched is very useful, especially in the metagame where there are gonna be perhaps a lot of Rock Slide Landorus size, so you just want to avoid getting flinched most of the time. But let's look at the calculations, which are extremely disappointing. Alright, so Max Gazier into Landorus actually one-shots it without Life Orb, so I thought that was pretty funny, and pretty useful as well if you do not want to run Life Orb, but the next calculations I'm gonna show you are pretty disappointing. Life Orb, Max Mindstorm from Extra Sensory, doesn't one-shot Nihiligo. Not Dynamax Nihiligo, normal Nihiligo, it doesn't one-shot, that's pretty ridiculous. Max Mindstorm against Amigas, doesn't even come close to KOing. Max Knuckle against the Southwest Kartana, the standard Southwest Kartana from Generation 7, maybe it's gonna be useful again, because I calculated Kartana and it shown some positive calculations even with the Dynamax, but well, I think it's still gonna be very useful set, even if it's imported from Generation 7. That being said, it doesn't one-shot Kartana set, this one, so oopsie daisy. And if you want to go Minist, Kartana will outspeed you and most likely break you with powerful Max Grass, Max Overgrowth. Max Knuckle from Life Orb, even Max Knuckle or Aura Sphere, does not one-shot Tyranitar in Sand, even if you have Life Orb. Max Lightning from a Raikou, actually one-shot Tapu Fini, but a lot of electric types from what I've seen to do that, but at least Raikou got something going for it. And Weatherbar from Life Orb, actually, that's a pretty weird calculation I got over there. But unfortunately, I don't think it matters, even though it's not a max move. Alright, so Weatherbar from Life Orb Raikou does not one-shot Venusaur. If it's max move, it gets more than 30 base power, and I'm very skeptical of that actually KOing Venusaur as well. Like, it's 1/3 more powerful, but not really 1/3 more powerful, but 65 times 1.3 is not 100%, so it does not one-shot very often, so unfortunately this is pretty sad calculation. It cannot one-shot Venusaur, unlike Zapdos can with Hurricane Max Airstream or Max Flare if you do not want to run Flying Move. Now for defensive calculations, Landorus Max Quake one-shotted on a spot, if it's Adamant that is. But Adamant Landorus outspeeds Dragon Bolt after single Max Airstream, so there is no reason to run Jolly really, so Adamant Landorus will just one-shot you every single time. Tyranitar Max Rockfall does not do it KO you, but with Sandstorm damage it has good chance to do so, unfortunately. And that's Jolly and Tyranitar when I'm looking at it right now. I was supposed to calculate adamant Tyranitar, but well. So Tyranitar always sweet KOs you, and watch out, you do not want to proc weakness policy of the Tyranitar, because in that case it just one-shots you guaranteed. And you know what, you do not do that much damage to it back anyways, so it's pretty sad actually. Double Psychic does not do all that much damage, it's actually not even a 3-hit KO. And Heatfront's Max Wing and Raikou is a clean 2-hit KO as well, unfortunately. So let's get into the Suicune. Alright, so this is a super... wait a minute. Just give me a second. Come on, help me. Alrighty, and this was supposed to be the order of the Suicunes I want to talk about. Alrighty, so Suicune support set. Support Suicune is pretty good right now. Unlike in generations before, it cannot get turn 1 rock slided with Landorus and then just the opposition will snowball out of control because you don't have tailwind turn 1. This happened to me too many times and to my friend Mr. GX as well. But now with inner focus, no flinches ever. Not even fake out will stop the tailwind right now, which is very powerful. You already mean not intimidate again, but not being able to you cannot get flinch turn 1 with tailwind center. That's just so good. You just get the idea. It will probably most likely use tailwind set. Of course you need tailwind. You need snarl to have more utility on Suicune. Trust me, it's just so annoying to deal with this kind of Suicune. I've played against it way too many times with my friend. Scald and Ice Beam for extra coverage. Now, what does this spread do? Now, max overgrowth from a Kartana, the Southwest Kartana I just talked about, only has 4 attack. But with this EV spread, you take the attack 100% of the time. That's pretty useful actually. I'm not 100% of the time. I'm mistaken. 87% of the time. Now, choice band Rill Beam Grassy Glide into the Suicune never one-shots either. So that's pretty cool. I think actually I should have probably calculated Tapu Bulu, but I think Rill Beam should be still the superior Grassy Terrain setter thanks to the Fake Out, and even if you have choice band, you can bluff it being the Fake Out set, so I think it's pretty useful to calculate still. And even then, Tapu Bulu Grassy Glide doesn't do all that much damage. It will do a bit more, but it's not guaranteed still. Life Orb Tapu Bulu Rising Voltage, always one shot. You got no chance of survival. And Max Lightning into this type of Suicune, unfortunately again is guaranteed one shot. From Zapdos that is. Kind of unfortunate. Actually, I'm thinking of just redoing the EV spread one more time after I finish this video, but I'll look into that a bit later. The idea basically I got for this weekend though is the fact that I want to... Well, if I set up Rain and I get a Max Geyser off again on Tyranitar, I just simply one-shot it. And another note is that we actually one-shot a Landorus, Scarf Landorus on a spot with Ice Beam as well. If it's like Life Orb Landorus, we can do it KO with Ice Beam, 2 Ice Beams, and we outspeed it even if it gets Max Airstream off. So I think that is very useful utility for Suicune. And even if you just decide to do something like this, I don't know, whatever like this, you should still not be taking the Max Lightning from Zapdos anyways, unfortunately. But you could choose to go for more special defensives on the side to try to survive Max Lightning from Zapdos, instead of taking the Max Growth from Kartana or from Grassy Glide from Tapu Bulu and stuff like that. But I think taking these physical attacks is just so much more useful than taking them special side, because then even then you still are gonna just get one-shotted by the Rising Voltage from Tapu Koko, and all the special defense you just invested are gonna go to garbage can. Well, you could have done something more useful on the physical side, I feel. So I would probably recommend sticking to this, but we're gonna see how the metagame evolves if this special side will be a bit more necessary. But as of right now, I would probably stick to this, because good going Landorus is gonna be a pretty useful thing with Ice Beam. And now for the second Suicune set I want to talk about, Calm Mind set. Yes, Suicune gets Calm Mind, and it can make use of it in Dynamax in premier way. And unlike Tapu Fini, it can actually snowball out of control with max airstreams. Tapu Fini has no air slash or any flying move actually, so that's pretty useful. Now, so here are some useful offensive calculations. +1 Life Orb Max Geyser from this EV spread. One shows Tyranitar in Sand. That's pretty cool. it one-shots the It doesn't one-shot Dynamax, Raikou, and Sand. Actually, I should probably change that to say Dynamax, Raikou. So you are in the picture. So it doesn't one-shot Dynamax, Raikou, but it does massive damage to it. I just wanted to show you that this one-shot is not possible, unfortunately. You actually one-shot Tapu Koko with Max Geyser very, very cleanly. You do not one-shot Rillaboom with Max Hailstorm. But with hail damage that happens before Grassy Terrain, I think it happens before Grassy Terrain, hopefully. You one-shot the Rillaboom 100%, pretty much 100% of the time. Hopefully I'm not wrong here. I would probably hit myself if I'm wrong here, but I don't know. Unfortunately, the Rillaboom should outspeed you anyways with Grassy Glide or with Hammer with bit of speed. So it doesn't matter that you don't one-shot it because Hail will finish it off. You get the idea. I'm trying to say that you're not gonna outspeed and one-shot it before it can attack, alright? It will always attack before you, so caring about it one-shotting without hail damage doesn't matter. Hopefully I explained it good enough. You do actually one-shot Tapu Lele with Max Geyser Life Fort with +1 special attack. You also do not, unfortunately, you do not one-shot Assault West Kartana with Max Hailstorm. That's not Dynamax Kartana either, it's just normal Assault West Kartana. Wow. And you do not one-shot Venusaur with Max Hailstorm either, but you take the attacks rather well. So there's some defensive calculations I've calculated about. Life Orb Rising Voltage against the Dynamax Suicune has only 68% to hit KO, and you one-shot back very cleanly, so you do not really care about it not being a 2-hit KO. I mean, if it's great KO, you wouldn't care because you would just one-shot it back anyways. Rillaboom's Max Grass in this Suicune EV spread means that you're gonna take it pretty cleanly. The idea for this EV spread basically was, alright, so here's the explanation for this. You're gonna boost the special defense anyways, right? So you do not really want to invest much in special defense. Now, you decide you're not gonna invest into is defense, so you perhaps want to get a breakpoint in the defense, right? So, you see? Actually, I'm a bit wrong here. Wait a minute. Am I insane? Give me a second. Oh, alright, so change of plans actually. This is the most optimal EV spread for us, and you want to invest this much more in special attacks. So even though I'm recording this video like live, without any cuts, I actually found out a mistake in my EV spreads. Luckily I did that, and I realized that this is the optimal EV spread. Alright, wait a minute. No, what was the optimal? Sorry guys, I'm a bit confused because well, today I find out if you get plus in the window where you got minus on a Pokemon Showdown, it does not remove the nature boosting nature from the stat you got previously. So I kind of got confused here. Wow, okay. But this is the optimal EV spread, alright? But then it removes the minus. Oh goodness, sorry guys, I'm just confused for like a minute and a half right now. But the idea is to get a breakpoint. You see you get +2 in this defense stat right now. You are using your EV spread optimally to get as much effort out of these effort values as much as you can. So I think that's pretty good explanation for that. Unfortunately, I stretched it over too much. And with that being said, hopefully you learned something new. Sorry for the blabbering about the last EV spread, unfortunately. It happens to all of us. And next time I think we're going to go over Regis and Latios and Latias. So hopefully you learned something new today, and I'll catch you next time. So have a nice day, and play Pokemon.